Welcome back to Soccer Cards United. It's episode 276 of the greatest soccer card podcast in the world. My name is Jason. That's Enzo. Hello, Enzo. What's on the show today?
Hello, Jason. Today, we're talking the Topps Chrome UEFA checklist, tariffs, and a lot of listener topics too.
The listeners have loads of topics. It sounds great. Let's get into it. Okay, Enzo, we're starting off with a listener question from our friend Dado Stacks.
Oh, yeah?
Who was asking us, is the rookie checklist on this year's Topps Chrome UEFA Club competitions the weakest one in years, which gives us an excuse to talk about a huge story that happened while we were away, which is the Topps UCC Chrome pre-order happened and the checklist was released. So this is something that we were obviously aware of, but not on the air for.
Yep.
This is huge. This was the 15th of April. So we imagine the Topps Chrome will be out sometime in about a month after that.
Yep, that's it. Kind of mid-April, mid-May is the expectation 100% on Chrome.
Yep. I'll tell you what they said about Chrome. Returns with a bang. Hunt for short printed team logo border variations, sketch cards, and premium class autograph relics of featuring the world's prominent superstars and legends. New inserts include the hobby exclusive Mind Game, falling one every 4 cases on average. 1 in 4 case hit. Cover stars, historic captains, best of the best, UCL legends, trophy chasers, and new era join the fray, with each subset also featuring autograph variations. Marks of excellence on card autos are back, featuring legends such as Ronaldinho, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Andres Iniesta, Davor Zukor, and Sir Alex Ferguson, we saw as well. Teammates dual autographs, 1 of 1 rookie arrival patch featuring an on-card inscription from top rookie Endrick.
Can I say, I feel like some of this is blurred into the flagship description.
Yes, I think that could be true.
Because if you look down there, it says look forward to 1 autograph or relic card. So I think it's like this. They have not done a great job on that page, because initially it used to show last year's Chrome and stuff like that. So that's not, some of that might have been false information from Jason. Some of that was UEFA Club competition flagship, but in general, the checklist did launch. All 4 SKUs launched as well. You had Value, which is a blaster, Hobby Box, Jumbo Box, and Breakers Delight. I believe. No, maybe there was no Breakers Delight. There was Jumbo. Was it 4? Yeah, because they had cases. It was Jumbo, it was Hobby, and it was Value.
Yes.
Jumbo. I mean, Hobby was priced well. Jumbo, we're not big time breakers or anything like that. So I think that if you're a breaker, maybe you're liking that one. I don't know how well that breaks, how well that sells. I'm not an expert on that at all. But
yeah,
from a kind of wax selling point of view or from a ripping point of view, it feels like high priced Chrome soccer is tough. Now we've been selling Jumbo from last year still at a high price on our site, but like I just feel like Hobby is a perfect price point, good product to pick up. Jumbo is juiced and it's obviously for hardcores, but I feel like that's kind of, I don't know. I don't think they've nailed that one. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe if you break it, it makes a lot more sense, but I don't think they've nailed it.
This is an article on Topps Ripped called "What 24-25 Topps Chrome UCC box is right for you."
Okay, wow.
And so you have the 3 SKUs that they launch here. So Hobby, right? It's pretty clear. Hobby, each Hobby box, 20 packs, 4 cards per pack, filled with Chrome Heat, 1 autograph, and at least 3 number parallels, 3 pulsars, and a strong lineup of 9 inserts in the box. Case hits, Shadow Edge, Tifo, The Grail, and Hobby exclusive Magic boxes, 10 per case, that offer 1 in 12 hits or numbered parallels. So this, we've seen that before. And what product was that?
You're talking about like Merlin the Sorcerer packs, is that what that's saying?
Yeah, like a Sorcerer pack kind of situation.
High exclusive Magic boxes, 10 per case. I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense.
Hobby exclusive Magic boxes.
Oh, there's 10 in a case. That offer
no, I got it.
That's just a Hobby exclusive case hit that is 10 per. No, what? Hobby exclusive Magic boxes, 10 per case that offer 1 in 12 hits or numbered parallels. I think it's meant to say 1 in 10 cases. I think that's what that's trying to say.
Yes.
Right,
yes,
isn't
yes,
it?
yes.
10 per case.
Hobby exclusive Magic boxes, which are like
in
boxes, basically.
Yeah, but it should say 1 in 10 cases, I would imagine, or 1 per case. But I don't think that makes any sense. I mean, 1 per case would be crazy, but I think that's too rare. That's meant to say 1 in 10 cases, I'm sure.
Right. So yeah, anyway, basically what I'm saying is that it's very, very strong reasons why you should buy Chrome. They do slightly, I think, lose it a little bit in Jumbo. It says who should buy Jumbo: hit chasers, auto collectors, and fans who want the highest concentration of exclusive content per box. So that's who's buying Jumbo. Value, this box is great for set builders, player collectors, and retail rippers looking for big names in a compact format. That again, to me, is not a super convincing argument as to why you should buy a value.
Yeah, I think writing this article was tough for the person writing it, because that is a tough ask. It's like, all right, who's value boxes for? And it's kind of like, I mean, it's for kids fundamentally. Fundamentally, it's for kids, and it's for if you're trying to complete base sets, buy a hobby box for fun, and then finish it with blasters. Like that's the most logical reason I have for blasters.
Yes,
but I do think retail format needs work still, in my opinion.
Just to actually, we should mention that recently we got in a what do they call it? A factory set of Donruss NFL.
Yes,
and we're kind of having we just got one, and we're having a little chuckle about it, and then it sold almost instantly.
Yeah, we were like, what? Who would just buy straight up sealed factory set with everything in it? I think maybe you get one hit, and you get like a packet with one thing.
You get
a pack,
like, yeah.
And we were kind of like, I don't know if anyone would just buy a set of base cards, And people love it. People, I mean, it's handy, but then it defeat the purpose, Jason. Like, where's the chase? Where's the,
I guess so. Yeah.
I can't tell if it does or doesn't matter. I can't tell if I would or wouldn't do it if I wanted to complete a set. It's obviously handy, but it's also like you're kind of killing everyone that has bought a hobby box and is trying to grind out the base cards by making other people complete their sets with their base. Then why would I buy it off you when I can just buy a box that has all the base in it?
Yeah, well, just when they were talking about there in that article about buying value boxes to complete your base set or to collect a certain player, I'm wondering if there was a Topps Chrome UCC factory set which just had all the base cards. Would that be popular? I think it actually might be.
I think there's a good chance.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Just going over here to Beckett, because there were some odds published at the time, but then I can no longer find them. But this is just some look at we've seen this design basically in flagship with the big name on the across. This is Global Attractions autographs, Aiden Hazard, Belgian flag there. The classic, it's a classic. You put the flag behind the player, you've got yourself.
Yeah, you got yourself a card.
That looks like a little bit like Obsidian.
That does look like Obsidian.
Yeah. And then just to give you an idea of all of the parallels, they don't all fit on the screen at the same time.
Wow.
So obviously each different SKU has exclusives, and then there are some parallels that are in some and not others, or some parallels that are in them all, etc. One thing I wanted to draw your attention to, Enzo, which was also on the odds list. So on the odds document, you had value, hobby, Jumbo. I think you had Breaker's Delight. I think you had Sapphire, but you definitely had this as well, Hong Bao.
Oh yeah, wow.
Which you'll see here, the red gold refractors in Hong Bao, and also down here, Hong Bao red new foil as well.
Right.
One in every 2 packs of Hong Bao. So Hong Bao, if you don't know, is one of the names for the Chinese red envelope practice, giving a red envelope with a monetary gift inside, which was apparently popularized. I was looking this up on Wikipedia earlier. Was apparently popularized in China and then it spread throughout Asia as a practice. And Hong Bao is one of the names. So I don't know if this is going to be like a lucky envelope type SKU. Is it going to be a China exclusive SKU? What's it going to be? But there seems to be some sort of red envelope Hong Bao situation going as well, which I can't find any details for.
But you found it there. I seen there was hanger boxes there as well, just to add a SKU below blasters, because I guess
there are hanger boxes.
Guess that's needed.
Good Lord.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a retail expert, I suppose.
No,
not a breaking expert. I'm not an expert, Jason. I'm not an expert.
Well, I would say this. You're a hobby box expert.
That's right. This is all too much.
Sell a hobby box like nobody's business, but all this other stuff, it's confusing.
Yeah, I'm waiting for like Topps Chrome fat packs. When are we getting there?
Well, a hanger kind of is a fat pack with a box around it.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah, why? Take that box away.
It's like
you're wasting cardboard.
Everything of that.
This is a huge checklist, by the way. We're not going to go through it, but it's an absolutely massive checklist. The rookies are sort of hit and miss. They are the kind of rookies that maybe we'll see in 3-4 years. A few of them suddenly hit a patch.
That was my kind of reaction to Dado Stacks' question of like, is this the most lackluster rookie class? And it's kind of like, we don't really know. Like all this stuff is kind of hindsight. You have to look back and kind of go, you can't judge a rookie class going into it as much as you obviously can judge whenever you want to judge, but time will tell is the answer. But I do like this is coming earlier than most seasons. I mean, in fairness, we're at the business end of the season, so you don't imagine someone popping up now between now and the end of the season and lighting things up. In fairness, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to judge. There's a lot of rookies in there still. They're digging deep to find them because they've dug deep in previous years, which has ruined their ability to have rookies this year, etc., etc.
This is almost like a Bowman situation, I would say.
This
is like you're prospecting. You're buying these rookies, some of whom are not even kind of playing, and in 2, 3, 4 years, you might find a Cole Palmer or a Desiree Douay or somebody in there who is highly rated. We don't know him, but he's not Jude Bellingham. He's not bursting onto the scene when he's 17, 18.
Which was good to point out. You don't always have to.
You certainly don't always have to. No.
Luka Modric always comes to mind.
There's also this, speaking of Bowman, the Bowman UEFA Youth League. There are some players from the Youth League. We've talked about on this very show before the prospect of doing a Bowman product for the UEFA Youth League, and they've decided to incorporate it here. So the likes of Ben Broggio of Aston Villa, Guillermo Fernandez of Barcelona, Jayden Heskey of Manchester City, who could be related to Emile Heskey.
Must be.
Regan Heskey, also of Manchester City. Hang on a second. I have to get an answer on this.
Yeah, you can let one go, but you can't let both go. Now you need to know. What if one is and one isn't? Maybe they're twins.
That'd be awkward.
Maybe they're twins.
Yeah, Regan and Jayden Heskey are both sons of the former England striker Emile Heskey. Wow.
Are they twins?
They're not twins. But so that's exciting. I think a Bowman UEFA Youth League. Wonder Kids we like. Golazo I don't love, but it's back. Youthquake, which certain people really, really like and certain people have no particular interest in.
I would say, as a European collector, very few inserts have ever done anything for me.
Yeah.
Like just inserts, like Golazo, as you said, it's like whatever.
We know what it is, but we
don't care.
Move us in any way.
No. I don't know. I feel inserts are bizarre because I'm not against them, but I just they have a weird pecking order. Like I'm thinking of like the Mbappe. This was back in the day, 2018 Mbappe. He had his World Cup, which is like his kind of main card from the base set, and then he had the new era, which is an insert card, and everyone's just like, that's worth nothing, and in comparison. And it's like, right, so we've created inserts as a way maybe to reproduce the same player on a checklist multiple times, but have a different image or whatever.
Yeah,
but like people don't. I don't know. Insert cards. I'm questioning it all, Jason. At the moment, I'm looking at it all, going, what? Why? Like, why are we still doing Golazo? That's what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is like, Golazo used to be an insert, and then they made it a case here. Are you telling me it's an insert again? It's back to insert status.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
And then it's like, and does anyone like Golazo? Like, is it revered? It's not kaboom. Like, it's not like people. It's kind of like scrap it and give me new ones and try to do better. In my opinion,
you're kind of talking about the base insert, and whether or not we need that. Like, surely you're kind of. It's like you have your base set, you have your parallels of the base set, and then anything other than that should be special.
Maybe. I mean, to be honest. Like, why does Champions League? I mean, it probably does now at this. But like, give me more image variations and give me a bit more fun. Give me stuff that actually that you want. Why not give me image variations versus kind of weird pop art inserts?
Yeah, no, you're right. Soccer Brush, which I believe is value box, either exclusive or value box.
I think it's exclusive. I think it is.
Right. Shadow Etch, radiating rookies. I should also say that Dado Stacks pointed out that the rookie class is led by a second-year rookie in Hendrick.
That's a big problem.
Which is kind of gone not unnoticed, but
No, but it's kind of like it doesn't even matter kind of thing. It's not like it's almost like you broke the rule for Endrick, but it wasn't even necessary.
Yeah.
He's
no
on
one
the
really
block, but he doesn't even get minutes. And like he's a great player, and he will get minutes next year. And maybe you'll look back at this Chrome and go, he can kind of chase his rookies there, and people don't really pay enough attention or whatever. But like it was Panini very much got his rookies out with a major international tournament set and a FIFA set that had him in his Brazilian kit. It's like he was covered for rookies, so it was. That was one of those kind of a big misstep that kind of happened, and we all kind of had to just go, this is the way it's going, isn't it? We're just gonna. Yeah. It's like it doesn't matter was the answer, and I was like, right, box has got to sell. This is how we're going to do it.
Is this how we're moving units? Okay, guys.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, we're on board. Let's support it. Let's go. But that was sad, especially but in fairness, like, is it somewhat justified because no rookie has properly popped off this year to push product,
Yes. But then you could also say, does the fact that Endrick is not a real rookie put some sort of a dampener on this rookie class in general? Like they could have picked anybody to be the
lead,
to be the main man. Do you know?
Yeah, it's flat, certainly flat. Like I don't know if Endrick had played more minutes and done more or whatever, would it have made a difference? But I'm not sure.
I don't know. I should just say that Johan Cruyff appears on this checklist here for FC Barcelona, and also Ethan Nwaneri, who is also a second-year rookie for Arsenal.
They could have just relied on the Europa League trophy to sell units.
They could have done. The UCL Chrome Trophy Superfactor is back. We talked about what was going to happen if it was going to come back when we were talking about the big sale that it had. But it's been accompanied by the Europa League trophy and the Europa Conference League trophy as well. And each trophy can be found in a different SKU of the product.
I will go on record and say I don't dislike this.
Okay.
I understand people that are like the person who invested in the trophy last year is fuck this year, but I don't think so. Like there was one last year and there's one this year. Like I think there's enough soccer fans to keep that market going strong. Mm-hmm. My suggestion, and I have actually said this in person, whether or not it was integrated, I would love if they added the ribbons of the previous year's Champions League winner onto the trophy. Like not necessarily a relic. I don't mean like the literal ribbons. Take the ribbons off the trophy. I just mean like the image
ribbon top.
Yeah, where I just given a great idea. Yeah. Take some of the confetti at the Champions League and create a one-of-one tops now of the UEFA Champions League trophy with the confetti. There you go, yeah. Free money. No, I just think like if this year's Champions League trophy chase was an image of last year's Champions League trophy with the winners of the Champions League's ribbons on it. Do you know what I mean? That way it's like if your team wins the Champions League this year, let's say you're an Arsenal fan and the impossible happens. Your team wins Champions League this year, you now know in next year's Chrome, I get to chase that 101 with my team's colours on it. Oh my God, the trophy that we won and blah, blah, blah.
So now, and then in theory, if you were like, I'm just trying to think, I was thinking about breaking. I wonder then, in that case, would you kind of include the trophy? Would that like nearly be in the Arsenal spot?
That's a different matter, but I wouldn't put it in the Arsenal spot, but that would be
that's how I breaker to decide. I'm not a breaker, but
that's how I would do that trophy. I think it would be way cooler to have a real image from like the final itself. But it could even be like the final with each team's ribbon. I mean, I suppose if you've lost the final, you now don't want that. But like,
yeah,
the winning team's ribbon on the trophy prior to it being given to people, and I'm kind of because I think what they're missing is attaching it to the sport. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I understand. Yeah.
It's like if I'm an AC Milan fan, or let's say you're a Liverpool fan in that crazy final where they beat AC Milan, the biggest comeback ever. Like, let's say Topps Chrome, like it existed in other sports. Let's say it exists in soccer back then. And this idea was kind of implemented. Mm-hmm. That's a Liverpool Grail card. It's like that's the 101 superfactor of the trophy with our ribbons on it from that final. It's the association with the sport, as opposed to here is a video rendered image of the Champions League trophy on a superfactor background and give me loads of money for that. And it's like, can you please just relate it to the sport, like, and let me create the collectability by doing what they've done in WWE and what they've done in all the other sports with the MLB patch. It's like the reason that's so powerful is actually taken from the sport and brought across the cards, as opposed to just that is the trophy. Here is a 101, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, even I'm looking at the Conference League. I remember when West Ham won the Conference League.
Come on.
You go. The Grail, there's two Grails. Leo Messi, as we know, is the Grail this year, and there's a PSG Messi and there's a Barcelona Messi to chase in Chrome.
Very nice.
We're not going to go through all the autographs. We will just have a look at marks of excellence and see who is. I should say as well, this is the first time there's quad autos. in Chrome.
It's been pointed out, Jason, many times over that the doubles, the trebles, and the quads have all made sense. It's very clear that people doing this know the sport very well. Do you know, like
there's definitely a greater level of coherence within the autograph combinations than I would argue ever been to this point.
Yeah, the best ever. I love the quad pundit auto. That is a brilliant one that makes sense. You're pulling from culture. Like that's the Champions League on CBS.
That's the CBS crew. Yeah.
Come on, they're so popular. They go viral every time, and it's just like everyone just loves that whole crew. So to put them all on one card is exactly what you should do. Like that's 10 out of 10.
Yep. And you've got your black lasers, which you can find in Jumbo. And they were very popular last year. Last year the black laser Lamine especially was a big chase. But that's we're gonna see without Lamine Yamal what this whole.
Yeah, I think that he just appeared a lot on that checklist. So when you hit that skew, there was a lot of Yamal coming out of it because of the black laser. Because the black laser was a small auto checklist. So you're basically not always, but you were getting the frequency of hitting Yamals was a lot higher than
it was a Lamine Yamal cheat code.
It was Lamine Yamal cheat code. That's right. That's right.
Yep. We have Champione autograph books featuring Barca, Man City, Milan, and Real Madrid. And then the marks of excellence on card checklist is Sir Alex Ferguson, which is massive. Wow. A lot of Man United fans kind of throwing down the gauntlet and saying, "This is my card. This is my chase. I am getting this."
Yeah. Huge.
Hernan Crespo for Lazio, Jamal Musiala for Bayern, Messi for Barcelona on card. Messi can't go wrong. Now this is interesting. We'll come to it in a second. Steven Gerrard for Liverpool and Zidane for Real Madrid. But then it says Lamine Yamal, FC Barcelona rookie.
Yes.
And so what has gone on here? It says 23-24 actually on the subset name.
Yeah. So basically, there's a variety of things because it's like that's an LY4, like Lamine Yamal's marks of excellence. I think there is LY1s, 2, 3s, whatever, maybe 5, 6. There might be 6 or 7. But in fairness, I think this is marks of excellence cards from last year that never got to make it into a product. And theoretically speaking, that means it's a Yamal rookie season card, right? So
because he signed it while he was a rookie.
Yeah, he signed it while he was a rookie. The design is 23-24. It says it on the back of the card, I'm sure, etc., etc. So it's kind of a cheat code way of throwing rookies in. It's on card. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'll say that. I feel a lot more different to that than I do the Endrick is a rookie, even though he's not. You know, because like Endrick would have been a chase just as a first Real Madrid kit.
Yeah, 100%. You could have sold Endrick.
Yeah,
by that. Yeah. First autos, first patches, inscriptions, Real Madrid, etc., etc., etc.
There was enough. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I will say that obviously the thing is, the reason people may have expected me to come out swinging against this, but I will say that the fact that this is an on-card autograph, there's a chance that when he signs it. So if he signed it last year as a rookie, it's not like a sticker where you're then making the card and you put the sticker on. He may have just signed it, and that's nothing we can do about that. And we do have precedent for this sort of stuff in Panini products as well.
But obviously, like, you could argue redemptions could have been used in 23-24. If that's the case. That's where the kind of issue does come up. But like at the end of the day, these types of teething issues will happen if you are getting on-card autos. You know what I mean? Like, if this is the worst we get by having, top/fanatics going out and getting on-card autographs, is that sometimes they pay a lot of money and they do a lot of stuff to get those autographs signed, and they're going to miss deadlines for products. So they're going to kick them into the following year. I don't hate it, but the rookie is a bit ominous there. It's kind of like, because but then like once they come out, like it'll be interesting to see like when they actually come out and when the product's done and when we're 2 or 3 years down the line, will there be a difference from this Lamine Yamal LY4? Like, will everyone, like the people in the know, will they be like, I'd never buy an LY4? Whereas it's like, why is one selling for significantly more than another? People might wonder, and it might be because that one came out the following year.
Yeah, you see, that's an LY4. That's not an LY. I'm already by LY1, 2, 3. Yeah,
it's interesting. I don't hate it. It's a bit sacrilegious. Like, it's a bit like you can't really do that. But then on the flip side, like, I don't really know. I don't really have a flip side.
Yeah, it's tough. One thing is, I understand like this and the Endrick thing. They are separate issues. But in general, it's like one thing I feel that Fanatics, like we're seeing it with Panini stuff this year in the NBA, partly because Fanatics have taken a lot of good signees, but also because it's a poor rookie class. They tell me in basketball this year. Yeah, and so the NBA product is not doing as well as it usually does, or as it does in a good rookie year.
I've heard the NBA in general is not doing well. People are a lot of the stars. People don't like them. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that only Luka Doncic people like. That's all I'm hearing. That's what I've been hearing.
So the NBA is going through a rough patch. So NBA cards are going through a rough patch, and what it feels like is this is an example. These things, the Yamal and the Hendrick, are kind of fanatics, tops, kind of saying we don't do rough patches. Like this is like, it's like this might have been a down year. Like this is like maybe 21, 22 after the Jude class, a bit of a down year, and they're kind of saying no, we're not having a down year. Like this is
how do we make it good?
How do we make it good, as opposed to kind of the way it has been, which is like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yeah, it has to always be good. And I don't hate that, because they're genuinely sitting internally constantly trying to spark their brain on how can we make this a better product, which is obviously good for us. That's why we're getting quad autos, right? Like that's the big, what if instead of treble we do quad autos? But like that's, I don't hate it. Like that's still progression, because like in 21, 22, it's like, why is there no dual autos? Why is there no treble autos? What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? So
because you're right. The same. In theory, in those situations where there have been down years, where the rookies haven't been good, maybe it is kind of like negligence to not attempt to improve the product at all in the face of that difficulty. Because, back in the day, they would just say, well, just let the kind of, let everybody buy it and they can deal with it.
What I'd like to question is, why do Top / Fanatics not do team logos in Champions League Chrome? Do you know what? I'm going to go, this will be something, if I am lucky enough to be in front of anyone from Fanatics, I'm going to say, because the Champions League, Europa League, UEFA Conference League, it's like the teams that qualify for that are different every year. It's not like, we're doing Serie A Select and 17 of the 20 teams are the exact same badge, because most of these teams are staying up. It's like there's a lot of freshness in there. There's a lot of teams that might qualify for the first time. Whatever. I just don't understand why you can't, for example, take out an insert set, or take out a case hit, or take a case hit and reduce the population of cards in that case hit by adding in the club badge as another case hit, and having things actually be short print and actually be rare, but also have the collectability. I don't know. I would love to be part of product production, Jason. I'd be having them fun.
Well, we'll get you in there someday.
Thank you.
In the meantime, let's take a quick break and come back to talk about tariffs. Okay, we're back. Just a couple of things to say before we get on to those tariffs. 1878 Cards asked, how was the Cork Card Show? Which I was at there representing the Soccer United brand a couple of weekends ago. Not last weekend, the weekend before. Or
it was last weekend.
Was it last weekend?
I think so. I was at a wedding, so my timeline's off.
I was going to say you didn't miss much, but it was a low foot traffic show that was well set up. It was very strange. That the organization was very, very good. The foot traffic was not really there, which wouldn't have been a problem really, because you don't go to a card show in a developing market like Ireland, and then in a developing market within that market like Cork, and expect gangbusters. But we were in a place called the Marina Market, which is like a big sort of like food hall, and we were in like on an event space within that. So there was kind of thousands of people on the other side of a pretty thin corrugated iron wall over the course of the weekend, spending money on food that it was delicious and also not cheap. So you don't the people who are there aren't kind of slumming it, basically. So I kind of kept seeing people walking by the card show, kind of looking in, and I was like, "Oh, come on in," but they couldn't come in because there was an entrance fee that they didn't know. And anyway, I will say this: maybe the best food of any card show I've ever been to, because of its location.
Wow.
It was like you just had to step out of the card show. And you were, I would say in terms of variety, yeah.
Okay, I like curryverse.
I don't know if any particular, was a dish that I had was as tasty as curryverse, but certainly in terms of variety, it was the best food at any card show I've ever been to. And I will say this, Enzo, there were people asking about basketball cards, there were people asking about hockey cards, there are people asking about, I saw multiple baseball boxes.
Yeah, you sold a lot of Series 1, right?
A lot of Series 1, and people were like, where's your heritage? And I was like, leave me alone.
I just about brought Series 1.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So there was a lot of interest there. The sports card hobby in Ireland is not only getting sort of like more developed in terms of like the numbers. It's also getting like more wide ranging. And I think maybe some people who are into, probably people in Europe are seeing this as well. People who are into the sports are getting into the cards and just kind of sticking with their own sport. So I'm very excited because we have NFL later on this year in Ireland.
That's going to be an experience.
I also met a very nice gentleman who said he was French. He was a basketball collector. He had loads of 90s basketball and loads of early Kobe stuff. And he had a binder full of like
Kobe
sort of pre-modern and basketball. And I was looking at it, and I think he was trying to sell it as a collection. And I was like, I think you should go to the Paris card show. So he was like, I don't want to go to the Paris card show.
Yeah, that's why I'm living in Ireland.
That's why I'm living in Ireland. But that was interesting as well. So it was an interesting show, and thank you to everybody who stopped by and said hello. There's a lot of podcast listeners. Even in Cork, Enzo, there was podcast listeners.
No, not that far adrift.
And I'll say this, I don't mean to kind of take I don't mean to toot our own horn. Multiple people came up to me and talked to me about the Dublin card show, where they just recently been, and said we had a great time. A lot of parents of kids coming up saying, I brought him, and the kid's standing right there. I brought him, he had a great time, didn't you? And the kid is kind of forced to say, yeah, I had a great time, yeah. But I choose to believe those children are telling the truth. They did have a great time.
Wow.
So congratulations to the Cork Card Show organisers. I think it's only going to go from strength to strength here on in. I also want to know we'll be at the Emerald Card Show later this year. I believe we will.
You're in charge of that. I don't know if you've sorted it.
Yep, I can confirm that. Saving anything going wrong, we will be there. D15 Collectibles asked us, are we going to be hosting another trade day soon?
I actually seen that message. We will, in theory, Jason, I suppose, in the next few months. That's all we can say. Yeah, in the next few months. There will be at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 trade days before the next Dublin show anyway. So the next one won't be for a couple of months yet, because we have a lot of travel on our schedule in the next, I think, 2 or 3 months. We have a lot of travel going on, Jason. But we'll get the Irish gang in Dublin back together again for shenanigans, no doubt about it.
SCU trade nights will return. Trade days.
Pastries will be there. Do not worry.
Okay, now let's get into tariffs. The PSA guy asks, who's an Irish collector, asks, how will tariffs affect grading with PSA?
Yeah. You didn't even have to finish that. The PSA guy is concerned about PSA. Well, PSA were one of the first ones to come out and say, we are not accepting any submissions at all. And in fact, I had a submission that thankfully had landed with PSA pre-tariff era. They're kind enough to say, if your cards are ready prior to getting sent back, they will potentially vault it for me if I need it.
Right.
For everyone that's not a concierge service, they'll vault it for people. That way you're not dealing with tariffs, and you can wait until it all blows over, which may or may not happen in our lifetimes. Who knows?
Yeah.
I was trying to I was like, oh, which cards were in that submission again? I was trying to look at it, and no matter what link I pressed on the PSA website, they brought me to this page that you're on now, Jason, telling us all about the tariffs. But yeah, it's not good. I mean, I've seen people grading with Beckett, Jason. That's how I don't know, devastating this has been. People have messaged me from the UK asking, can they use my home address so they can get a Beckett sub. It's like people are addicted to grading, Jason. They're just like, I need to send it somewhere. I need to send it somewhere. Someone has to tell me the condition of this card. Can I just get around this? But I think it's gonna push for, like, there's no way in hell's God's earth, Jason, that PSA were not thinking about setting up grading capability in Europe, and I would imagine this is going to accelerate that. So I'm kind of happy about that.
What's interesting is they, in this sort of tariff information page on PSA, they don't mention, or at least they don't mention prominently, Europe. It's not kind of mentioned. This is an expansion of an already previously announced restrictions on direct submissions. So they had already put on direct submissions, taken off direct submissions from Canada, China, Hong Kong, and Mexico, and now they've done all international countries outside the United States. So this is tough for the people who wanted to get their cards graded with PSA. But maybe, as you say, maybe it leads to an increase in, or a speeding up of their attempts to start grading in Europe. Maybe if their revenues take a hit, they slow down. Maybe they say, actually, we don't have ruined the budget this year because with all these tariffs, we're losing.
We're losing money now. Yeah, because they just set up like their forwarding office in Germany, which I assume is not forwarding at the moment. And as a result of that, that's a wasted money, wasted revenue. So you're right, it could go the other way. I do think Beckett, that's where Beckett CGC are super happy they're already set up in Europe, so they should gain market share. Realistically speaking, they should. And I've seen that. I've seen people are grading with Beckett big time. People are just, that's a natural thing. A lot of the submission centers had stopped. I haven't really, to be honest, I've heard more Beckett than I have CGC. I think CGC are dropping the ball during this opportunity, I would say.
Yeah.
But maybe it shows that PSA has such a stranglehold and people below them really weren't much, and Beckett still has a place in people's hearts.
Maybe it does. Maybe Beckett is still kind of in the back of people's mind. There's also a few different things around the hobby to talk about when it comes to tariffs. I'm just going to go through a couple of articles. One is this one on Sports Collectors Daily, written by Bob D'Angelo. Rich Mueller must have been out sick that day. Tariffs concern retailers of trading card supplies and shop owners. So this is from April 17th, just a few days ago. The trade war between the United States and China is also affecting the sports card industry. Retailers of supplies such as top loaders, semi-rigids, and even card sleeves are preparing for soaring prices because of tariffs. It's going to be ugly, says Jack Mays, the founder and president of Cardboard Gold. I'm already seeing the change, said Tom Napoli, who opened the Hall of Fame sports collectibles shop in Utica, New York in 1991. That's just wild. Right now, it's a crazy time. So for people buying from China, as of next month, the effective rate is going to be 157.8%, said the founder of Cardboard Gold, Jack Mays, who's been in a business since 1985 and has bought from China and Taiwan for the past 33 years. While not giving a specific number, he said the Santa Ana, California-based business has sold an ungodly amount of top loaders during the past year.
Jason, they should have considered getting the top loaders manufactured in the United States of America.
They should have stopped taking jobs away from good, hard-working Americans. They
should have had people creating these semi-rigids locally.
That's right. Yeah,
that's terrible.
Why can you not pay? Why could you not pay somebody $80 an hour to make top loaders? I mean, what are you, greedy or something? Yeah, this is. He also said, I like this quote. This is weirder than during COVID. It's the weirdest thing that's ever happened. It gives me a headache.
Yeah, I mean, dealing with COVID followed by, we had Brexit mixed in as well, Jason. It's been a lot of global affairs, global health crisis, etc. have been happening.
Yeah,
not great.
Matt Wheeler, who runs a company called Matt's Baseball, also for supplies, ain't doing too good because obviously it comes from China too. And basically the supplies sub-industry is kind of taking a real hit.
Grading is
taking a hit. There are also, if I go to this article by Collect, who mentioned much of the same stuff about supplies, but down here, okay, hang on a second. Yeah, so our biggest concern is that the tariffs on sports is on imports from China is going to affect demand for trading cards with Pokemon and sports cards. Is it going to affect breakers? Is it going to affect PSA? We know it will. The industry for supplies is based on the industry of cards produced. If the value is the interesting one, right? So if China, which buys a lot of cards, a lot of boxes and stuff,
they get a lot of hits.
They get a lot of hits. If they are no longer buying, then the value on the resale market of this stuff goes down. That affects the demand throughout the industry. According to CBS News, by the way, the price of a dozen eggs, which I'm pretty sure were going to decrease as soon as Trump got in. I think I remember that. They've increased by more than 300% since 2019. Consumers aren't purchasing sports cards if they can't put food on their table, and they aren't purchasing top loaders if they don't have cards. So this is tough.
It all comes down to top loaders.
I don't know why there's such a...
It's like, if these people can't afford their eggs, we're not going to be able to sell top loaders. Have you ever thought about a top loader?
I have to say, I was doing some kind of research before the show about to see how the sports card world was reacting to tariffs and kind of give a summing up of, and honestly, I would say about 80% of the coverage is top loader related.
People confused.
And I wanted to say, from our point of view, that the top loaders are the least of anybody's worries.
That's right. Don't mind the top loader.
We're in, the thought of American top loader companies being hurt by this. We're in two markets, the global hobby and the soccer hobby. And I think both of those, we can talk about them in turn, are in a lot of trouble with these tariffs. Like, this is like the global hobby and the soccer hobby are two of the most global free trade type things I can think of.
Yeah.
How do you think both of them are going to be affected?
Yeah, not good, not good. People have not responded well. I've we have a lot of American customers, Jason, a lot of people that listen to the podcast and place orders, and I've had to tell them all individually, hey, this is before the tariffs were quote unquote paused. Europe had a 20% tariff, so I was telling people, listen, if you order off me, there's going to be a 20% charge if it's over $800. And a lot of them were just like, just give me what you have in stock. And I was just like, no, you don't understand. You're going to be hit with tariffs. You don't understand. This is real stuff. And then when it was paused for 90 days, it wasn't actually paused. It was just reduced down to the 10%. But everyone was just like, there's no tariffs anymore. Send me stuff. Let me buy product. And it was like, no, you don't understand. Like, if someone hits a big card, oftentimes, if you don't want to keep it, which most people never want to keep it, I feel, not even kids that write wish lists to their parents, they want to sell as well. It's like if it's a huge card, you send it to Golden Auctions. But if you're not from America, sending something to America, there's a 10% charge now, right? So that's not helpful. But if you hit a huge card, like, chances are a buyer will be in Asia or will be in America if you're a European-based customer, let's say. So the Americans will have to deal with at least 10% tariff, if not more. Yeah. And then Chinese tariff, because tariffs are on where a good is produced, where goods are produced. So if it's Topps Chrome and it's made in the USA and you hit a Superfactor Europa League trophy, which I'm sure people in China will definitely want to buy, if you sell it to them, they have to deal with 157% tariff on that. So it's a total mess, to be honest. I've seen the Japanese Pokemon market's been hit as well, Jason, by a big time. They can no longer sell to America. Yeah. It's not
great.
messy.
I mean, this comes out.
It's not ideal. It's not what we want for us, because ours is not like. Don't get me wrong. Our industry is the least important in this whole chain. Don't get me wrong, but that's also why we're affected in a big way, because we're not on the table. No one cares about us, and they're not like, they'll make concessions and deals for some electronics, some pharmaceuticals, some food, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But they're never going to go, these guys can't sell, cards and boxes across borders. Like, oh, come on, cut them some slack. No one cares. So
Jason and Enzo aren't going to be able to bring their Zion cases full of cards to the States without paying 10% on every single card.
Where are we? There we go. We're going to Soco Expo, and right now, in the current climate, we don't know if we're bringing product with us. And we have tables, Jason. We have tables. Yeah. That's like a problem. That's very bad. Problem. We'll be at the National, and we'll be sad because all we'll be able to do is buy. And by the way, the dollar has gone so far down. It's not good.
No, because now, I mean, like, there's a few things. Obviously, if you're in America, you're working in dollars. The fact that the dollar goes down, if you're buying cards, it doesn't really matter that much, because dollars are dollars. But if you're a person from the European Union, the Eurozone, or you're from Britain, or you're from Asia, or whatever, like, people are talking to you about comps in dollars. And most of the time, because dollar has been so strong and because the global hobby has been kind of conducting business in dollars. Like, I was watching
the dollar is the global hobby's reserve currency.
That's right. The global hobby reserve currency is the dollar. I was watching a video from the Dublin Card Show with a friend of mine, and there was two people negotiating, and neither of them were American, and they were talking in dollars. And my friend said, Why are they talking in dollars? They're not American. And I was like, it's the global hobby currency, reserve currency.
Where are you that you can watch like Dublin Card Show footage with people? I'm
putting on YouTube TV.
That's right. It's a cinema. Yeah. You're in a little mini cinema.
It was in my home studio, of course. So what was I going to say? Yeah. So like now, if we say we did manage to get stuff in to bring the Soco Expo.
Yeah.
Right. Now I'm going to have. Now people are telling me comps like that's $200, and I'm going, yeah, but the dollar's in the bin, like.
Yeah, I'm not dealing. Like, I don't want to sell this in dollar. Like, I'll sell it in dollar, but I need a better rate, because I used to always 1-to-1 it to euro, but now it's like, lost 12%.
And the soccer hobby is particularly exposed to this because it's a much more internationalized, globalized market than baseball, for instance, or American football.
I'm getting stressed. I honestly really. The National, the National for me this year is going to be, at this moment of time, if the National was tomorrow, right, I'm going over with no cards. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure internationals will go over with cards. I don't have the confidence to bring my Zion case through Dublin Airport's pre-screening security system. and try to explain this is my personal collection that I may or may not sell in the United States of America.
Because previously, for anyone who doesn't know, previously, if you were walking through, in Dublin, we have pre-clearance, so we do our US immigration on this side. Let's say we're going through, and the immigration officer says, "What's that?" You open, you show it's trading cards. I'm going to the National Sports Collectors Convention. They
Not a
go,
big
"Oh,
deal.
cool. I used to collect, baseball cards when I was a kid. Best of luck, son. Have a good time."
And they'd rustle our hair, and we'd be all
but there was no tariffs due. There was nothing due on those goods, so you go ahead. But now there are. So now it's a different situation. We've been in Germany before, where we're in the same like customs union, so they can't even charge us if they wanted to. But the very fact that there would be charges due if we weren't Irish and we weren't traveling between Ireland and Germany means they're going to ask, because they're like, there could be a bit of money in this for us, like.
Yeah.
So it's not good.
It's not good. Like, I haven't got the heart to contact like Socko or anyone like that to say, hey, and someone might be listening, or someone might be listening, then subsequently tell them.
Listening, don't make any rash decisions. Just
don't kick us, don't put us in a bad area in case we don't show up. We'll be there.
Yeah.
Like worst case scenario, we'll rock up and we'll be buying, and we'll be that'll be, at that case, the poor dollar is a good thing for us, because we'll be going, it's $900, and we'll be laughing in the back of our head going, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
I would have paid $900 when the dollar was strong. But that'll be a lot of maths for us. But yeah, like it's a concern. Alternatively, we could potentially ship it over to a friend and then just kind of essentially smuggle it in. But like, I don't want to have to smuggle my sports cards into a country.
I don't want to.
That's not freedom. Not for me.
To El Salvador, to a death camp in El Salvador, because I snuck in a Zion case to America.
I'm willing to rock up without my cards in that scenario. I'd
rather just take a holiday than take a permanent holiday in El Salvador, because
no thanks.
I needed to move some of my Topps Chrome Youthquake low numbered Youthquake.
I opened a bit of unlicensed basketball, and I was just trying to break even. I was doing my best.
Yeah.
Tough.
So this is tough, because I will just say, like, there had just kind of recently been, we've been talking about it, there had recently been a sort of a circuit developing of, like, and one of the reasons European card shows we're doing so well. By the way, if you now come from America to the Dublin Card Show, buy cards at the Dublin Card Show, and then try and bring those cards back into America, there will be tariffs due on those cards.
Oh, don't say that.
There will be.
But we've built the Dublin Card Show to be
We've built the Dublin Card Show.
But it's meant to be a global hub of the hobby.
I know.
What about the points? Can't pay tariff on these crispy points.
So it's really, the tariffs are the reason we haven't been on the air in a couple of weeks, but they're not far off.
They're not far off, not at all. It's like a lot of people, especially if you're American based as well, like, you don't necessarily know the immediate impact of those tariffs in terms of hobby, right? Like, because I'm sure we'll rock up to the States and people will be like, oh, do you have your Zion case? And it's like, I kind of can't bring it, It's like there's real impacts here, right? You might have people who can't afford their medicine anymore, but that's not the problem.
No,
the problem is, what about my Zion case? Look at them there. They're going to be stuck on that shelf while I'm getting on an Aer Lingus flight to the great States, to Chicago.
Yeah.
So I'm sad. But to be honest, I don't know. I don't have a...
You don't have like I don't think anybody has a...
No, it's just all kind of like, what's going on? Hopefully it's all... Like, now, in fairness, the 90-day pause, etc. We're kind of expecting that, or hoping that by the time Chicago comes around, all of this madness will be behind us.
Yeah.
And, Donald Trump will have got his deals that he wants to get, and we can all...
He's got to get those deals, no doubt.
He get his deals. Whatever those deals are, he'll get them, and we'll all be better off. I can say, though, having bought, I don't want to get into politics, but having bought a lot of products from the States throughout my years in this hobby, there's no tariffs on them when they arrive from the United States to Europe. So that was just a big fat lie. That was a big fat lie.
That is not a tariff.
VAT is not a tariff, and if you're a business, you can claim it back 100%. So yeah, weird. Yeah. But there you go. Unfortunately, that's the world we're living in at the moment, and that affects the hobby we're living in at the moment, Jason. And to go deeper, I want to go deeper.
Do it.
On the collect thing, they were saying they're not sure if the chrome stock used by Topps, Panini, whatever, to create Topps products was or was not imported from China. They don't know. Like, all of the... Although they're produced in the United States, what about the ink? What about the cardboard boxes? What about the cardboard stock? What about the chrome stock? All that sort of stuff.
Yes.
So on another note, that stuff could make the production cost of Topps products and Panini products moving forward be more expensive. So that could also affect, obviously, all of us as buyers in the hobby. Can Topps now sell? Can Panini sell into Asia? We've seen Panini come out with a China SKU I don't even know if it was a SKU. It was just a box, and in brackets it just said China. So something that's not manufactured in America that maybe people can buy in Asia. So fundamentally, that was touched on in one of those things. If, like, I know last year for the Champions League Chrome, there was Asian breakers doing 30 case breaks trying to find the Yamal superfactors. You know, that and similar things to that I'm sure happen in basketball and other sports eats through the supply, which subsequently keeps the market on sealed and on breaks and on singles to a degree a lot healthier here. Like, I know Card Hobby has taken a big hit. That's been a platform that has been growing, going from strength to strength.
Yeah.
I'm sure DACA are going to run into problems selling to the States, and a lot of people had there, not so much into Europe. It could strengthen relationships between Euro countries, Asian countries, etc. But overall, it's bad news, and it could be a lot worse than we all think. Heading into hobby season, like I know for a fact, Champions League Chrome will be a fascinating release if tariffs are still as strong as they are, because it's such a global product, which is a huge in Asia, soccer.
Yeah. That
we might end up finding like your local hobby store is going to have as much as they need. You know, we might get as much as we need. That's what I'm hearing in the grapevine, Jason. We might be able to get enough Dubs Chrome to keep us warm for a few winters. And I would assume that's because maybe they can't sell to Asia at a top level. So who knows? Yeah. But I'm sure there's people smarter than us, Jason, figuring all that out. And hopefully the hobby stays happy and healthy. But we might be able to see what the sports card sealed hobby looks like if Asia cannot contribute to the opening of product. Or, and this is the one for some breakers that are listening, if you're a breaker, it could be a huge opportunity for you, because maybe if product can't touch down in Asia without 2 million % tariffs, people that are buying into breaks over there are still going to want to buy into breaks, and maybe they'll do it with you. If you have a vault service, if you have some form of service that you never actually have to ship the thing, you could see an uptick in business.
You're saying it could be time to learn Mandarin?
That's what I was going to say, Jason. I wanted to just announce to the people that all of them books are actually how-tos, read Mandarin, and you've been planning this for a long time. And Jason is starting his breaks next week.
Watch out for the Soccer United Jade edition.
Wow. Haribo, is that right? Haribo?
Haribo are jellies. I think it's Hung Bao. Sorry.
Jason will be the one doing the breaks. I will be staying away from culturally insensitive topics. But yeah, look, the tariffs are going to affect us. Whether they it's all above our pay grade, but it does feel like there are a variety of things that may come to the fore over the next while. Grading was the most immediate one that had to almost halt immediately. Supplies are a very obvious one. Everyone gets their stuff made in China. But I think we might be about to there's big hobby sets coming, big hobby releases coming, and we might see goalposts moved and stuff like that. So I think be on your toes, keep an eye out. I don't know. Good luck if you own a business. Jason, we own a business in the hobby. If you own a business in this hobby, hopefully you're doing okay. I do think depending on your local market is super important. Jason, we had a flurry of Irish sales today that made me so happy.
Well, thank goodness that the European hobby has grown so much.
Yeah.
Because if this tariffs would come in 2020,
we had such a I think 90% of our sales in 2020 were to USA, and that was mostly podcast listeners. And at the time, products were more desirable, so podcast listeners just had to jump on everyone else that we had a website. But I couldn't imagine trying to survive without our good American friends. Start buying, get rid of the tariffs.
I will say this. I was doing some research about what happened to the sports apparel industry after the announcement of these tariffs. And many prominent companies such as Nike and Adidas had massive stock slides because of how much of their manufacturing happens in Asia. Your Vietnams, your Cambodias, etc., where a lot of that textile stuff has moved out of China and into Southeast Asia in the last 20 years, I read. But Fanatics, much more resilient in their stock price to this, because a lot of their stuff is made in Central America, your Guatemalas, your Hondurases, etc. So Fanatics know their way around a global supply chain, and if there's any company that can handle this, it's our great friends of Fanatics.
Yeah, I think they're well placed to handle it for sure.
Yeah. So more on tariffs as these stories develop, and hopefully this all blows over. I'm sure it will.
More on tariffs as they pertain to the hobby, of course. You're not coming here for your global politics news or doom and gloom. This is their escapism, Jason. Just every now and then, we have to bring the truth to them. We got to bring the reality, the cold hard facts that we currently cannot grade with PSA.
Yeah, I mean, this is like
I'm upset about that.
Global politics may be what they are, but as soon as they start to affect the Dublin card show,
it's personal.
Now I'm sorry. Now I'm going to have to get involved, Mr. Trump. I could excuse any number of things, but the Dublin card show's bottom line. Now you've made an enemy today, sir.
Yeah, we've delayed locking in the date for the third show. It wasn't because of these tariffs, it's because we're tired. But now we're going to have to think twice.
That's right.
I can't even log into my PSA to see the update on my submission. Because surely it should move faster. It just says order arrived.
They've locked you out.
But if I click my order, they just keep telling me about tariffs. I've shipped to you already. Tell me about my order, please. Sorry, I've lost my cool.
Let's move along. So we have some listener questions here. Listener questions all the way to the end of the show now. We're on pure listener question territory. Soccer Cards HQ, our old friend. If a card was made and included in a rookie year product but comes out in future years, is it still a rookie? Will anyone care since it has an RC? We discussed that slightly with the Lamine Yamal, and our consensus is that
purist will not vibe with it. It will become the LY4 card. You know, it'll sell potentially for a bit less than a premium, but mostly ignorance is bliss, and I think it'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think it depends on the player. Like, I mean, this whole Endrick thing, just for example, with speaking of rookies and all that, it's kind of a bet that, and with Lamine Yamal as well, it's a bet that the player is attractive enough that people will overlook whatever just to get their hands on a Lamine Yamal rookie auto still in this year's Chrome. Okay. The Sports Hobby Shop asks, considering how PSA 9s, especially modern cards, are being valued lower than raw, although, Enzo, could we see PSA 9s increase in value now that there's not so many cards being graded? Are they a sneaky buy? Or following on from that, are we in a junk slab era? Amazing how this question reads differently after the discussion of tariffs that we just had.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think a PSA 9 on a fundamental level should be worth more than a raw because it is a mint condition version of a card. But also, standards are so high now that people expect brand new cards to be 10s.
And the print runs are so high that the market has to react by becoming more strict in what it accepts.
If there's a bajillion 10s, no one needs a 9 kind of thing. Yeah, I'm not for PSA 9s, to be honest. I'm not into it unless it's an old card or whatever.
Yeah.
But it could be a sneaky buy. I mean, if it's cheaper than raw, I don't think it's ever a bad buy.
Well, I'll tell you this.
You could crack it and sell it raw, sorry.
Well, that's a time-honored technique. At the Cork Card Show, and one thing I did, because I wasn't selling that much, was I did a lot of buying. And PSA 9s, several different times, people had nice cards, but I didn't buy any PSA 9s because I would rather spend my money on the raw cards, because it was one of those things where there were these sellers, by the way, they weren't like trying to rip anybody off, but like there was a premium on the PSA 9 that I was just like, I'm not paying that. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not paying your PSA 9 premium because it's not real.
I realized you graded this, or you bought it graded, or at some point somebody passed, whether it was PSA or somebody down the line, somebody passed on the cost of grading to you, and now you're attempting to pass that on to me. But I don't care about that. So, I mean, I suppose if I'm being, just speaking from my own experience, I don't consider PSA 9s to be a sneaky buy. I consider them to be a bit more trouble than they're worth.
Yeah, they are trouble because ultimately they're semi-hard to sell. It depends on the card. It depends on the price you're in it for, all of a variety of things. Because we know there's a lot of people that just want to buy a slab as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. The way we operate is definitely to avoid it if we can. Anytime we have a 9, we kind of want to get rid of it. Like, we've had some nice 2018, like maybe an Mbappe select field level PSA 9, but we hated it. You know, it was kind of like, it's a 9, like, get rid of that.
Yeah, there definitely is a market for it. I think maybe like soccer is not maybe at that point where the PSA 9 market is where it will be or where it should be. I imagine if you're in a sport with a lot more demand, where PSA 10s were inaccessible, but PSA 10s are still pretty accessible in soccer. Obviously, not everybody is going around buying PSA 10s of unbelievable cards, but in general, if you want to get a PSA 10 of most players, you can do. So, yeah, I don't know. PSA 9s, but maybe, as I say, maybe PSA slabs are going to start to dry up in Europe.
Yep. Especially for like newer releases, right? Like this new Topps Chrome, if you can get a PSA 10 whatever into Europe.
Yeah.
There might be a bit of a premium on it, but I don't know.
Who knows? Okay. Irish Card Collector 96, who I saw in Cork, did a deal with, wants to know your best pickup so far this year. Which is a slightly cheating question because he just sold me a card, which was a gold Katie McCabe Don Ross from the Women's World Cup.
You can't do that. You can't.
So kind of plugging his own business there, I guess.
My number one card is actually fairly easy. Now, this year so far, what's it, 4 months? I probably don't remember everything I've picked up.
I would say you definitely don't remember everything you've picked up.
No, I feel like I got some Frozen Only 101s, but I did them like via people. So, like the Soule 101, I think that was this year, might have been. I'm super excited about that. But I think maybe the number one card that I've picked up, I'm going to try to show you on screen here.
Okay.
It is.
Attention is palpable.
There's one person listening to this that's going to be fuming because he was busy in Dadamstag's neighborhood at the time when I picked this card up. So otherwise, I'm sure he would have seen it. A 2017 Topps Stadium Club MLS Sebastian Giovinco base sepia 1 of 1, which is a true 1 of 1 from the 2017 Stadium Club set. I don't know why. Doesn't look spectacular because it's sepia, but for whatever reason, it was the 1 of 1 from that set. And there it is. It's on screen now. You're looking away. You're not even.
Sorry, I looked away at the very moment. Oh, I see it there. Very nice.
Sorry, that's a 1 of 1. So I picked that up. There was only like 3 or 4 parallels. I'm only missing one of them to complete the rainbow because then I just went on a buying spree. So I got a true Sebastian Giovinco 1 of 1 from 2017 Topps Chrome Stadium Club, bit of legacy, bit of heritage, Jason, and I got it for like 100 and something. So yeah, I'm super happy with that as a TFC Toronto FC and more so Italian Sebastian Giovinco pickup. That's probably my best buy this year, mainly because I didn't know the set. I wasn't familiar with the set. I didn't know the 101 sepia existed. I didn't know any of this stuff. It just came across my desk from a good friend of ours, Dan at Footwiz, and I was like, happy days, let me pick it up. And by the grace of God, Brad, our Canadian friend that loves the FC, was in the United States of America, busy, having a good time, living his life. Imagine. He was living his life. I was living on eBay. I victimized him. That's right. He probably seen the sale. He knew. He probably didn't even see the sale. He's been busy, but I'm sure he has Giovinco 1 of 1 saved as an eBay search.
He's probably listening to this right now, absolutely seething.
Seething is the word. That's right. So there you go. And I can't even bring it to the great United States of America in Chicago to show it to him in person.
I was going to say this to you.
Because I'm going to be tariffed if I do that. So,
but here's the thing: I was going to say this to you when we talk about tariffs.
No, wait, the card's in America. The card's in America and it hasn't got shipped to me.
Okay, but we're talking about maybe this brings the European hobby and the Asian hobby closer together. What about the Canadians? We should be over there at the Toronto Card Expo now because now we're
in it together. But I feel like Canada has always had tariffs and they've always been scary.
It does. Yeah, I mean, Canada has never been really a proponent of free trade in my experience. It's very difficult to ship things to Canada.
I was once going
from Canada.
I was once going to Las Vegas and I had just had a stopover in Canada and I got interrogated. Why are you in Canada? And I was like, genuinely, I'm not even going to leave the airport. I'm just trying to get out of here. I don't want to miss my flight. And they're like, what are you doing here, sir? Where you going to this? You're doing this. And I was just like, I was like, friendly stopover in Canada. This should be fine. And it was horrible. So as much as I love my Canadian friends, your border patrols is no joke. And you deserve everything you're getting from America as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, that's an incredible, unexpected slam on the Canadians. That's not where I was going with that. Right. Keith asked, what is the most random card you have? But it has to be a good card. Keith, I'm gonna ignore the second part of the question because I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it has to be good.
But I tell you, I've been on a bit of a project recently to get non-soccer, non-sport, vintage stuff pertaining to Ireland.
Okay, nice.
And I recently picked up an entire set of these, which I'll show you. This is the set I have. It's called Treasures of Ireland.
You always end up with things that are in like little sleeve bag things.
I do, yeah, because I get them from people who are not like necessarily in the hobby.
They're not in the hobby. You're digging deep.
I'm digging deep. So let me see here, for example. This is made by Player Cigarettes, who I believe still make cigarettes to this very day.
Is that John Player?
John Player, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, they still got they make cigarettes. I don't think they make cards. John Player Blue, people love it.
I believe this is from 1930. But it's called Treasures of Ireland. And it's basically just all different like pieces of archaeological and historical objects and finds pertaining to Ireland. And they're in really, really good condition. And it's very random. But I've been picking up stuff like that. I've been picking up a whole set of cards, like cigarette cards with pictures of trains, different Irish train lines that no longer exist. So I guess that's why most random.
Yeah, you've lost your head. I can't beat that. I can't even add to that. I think Jason is in trouble. Mine is, I don't really have that. And I picked up some Sebastian Giovinco just to spite Brad. So there you go.
Just to spite Brad to kind of lead us into a takedown of the Canadians.
That's right.
Okay, there's a couple of juicy questions from Becker on YouTube, right? 2 questions.
Becker.
Oh, I wish Becker was in the YouTube comments. All right, question 1, ultramodern. I have a question pertaining to Panini's inclusion of players from a few South American clubs, River Plate, Palmeiras, etc., in some of their 23-24 releases. People remember this. If you were collecting one of these players, someone like Endrick or Echeverry, for instance, and you wanted one low-numbered parallel, which set would you prioritize for a long-term hold and why? In other words, do you think these sets would be the most iconic down the road, or is there one particular parallel from one particular set? I mean, I don't think we're going to get that detailed, which maybe has the most appealing rookie for a rookie of this sort. As a side note, Endrick also has Panini Prism Copa America released in the Brazil kit, and I think that's clearly his best card, but I'm thinking about the sets with the club kits. So I'm going to exclude Obsidian and Immaculate because I don't think there's any situation in which they become...
Yeah, and now I get what you're saying, because I was just thinking of like FIFA Select being like, what other ones are there? But obviously Donruss, FIFA Select, Immaculate, Obsidian.
Yeah, so of those 4, I think Immaculate and Obsidian are always going to be kind of specialists. But like after Prism, let's say Endrick, after Prism, if Endrick, like low numbered Endrick is out my range on Prism, am I going Donruss or am I going Select? Like where am I going?
Obviously, he has a black Kaboom. Obviously, it's a bad looking design or whatever, but if it's black Kaboom from Donruss, but for me, it's Select all day, I would say.
Yeah.
I think FIFA Select, any obviously, like I wouldn't say there's a specific parallel. Obviously, gold parallels and black parallel, you know, but I wouldn't be like, put all your horses into the zebras. Like I would be, I think any Select is a good way to go. I actually have at grading, if BSA will ever grade it. Yeah. I have a gold flood or gold electric etch flood, whatever it's called from Obsidian, but it looks really cool that I picked up when I was in London solo, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had a questionable scratch on it, but I think I can get it then. That's how I felt about that. Certainly now with their low volume or at least the stress they're experiencing at PSA, they might just give a European collector give him a break. Yeah, throw me a bone, give me something. Help me pay all those tariffs. But like obviously a gold or a flood of Obsidian is always going to be well. But I agree with you saying that's a specialist set. That's very, you have to really explain that to people. You have to be like, no, it's good. I promise it's good. It's been easy.
That's never going to be kind of lot number 1 on golden auctions.
It's Donruss or Select, and I do think Immaculate shouldn't be skimmed over, though. I do think Immaculate looks great or whatever, but I think Select.
That's crazy.
I think Select. That's me. I couldn't go against Select.
You couldn't look past Select.
No, because I've lost my love for Donruss. I'll say that. I think.
Have you? Tell me more about that, because I actually think I'm.
Are you there with me? Or agree with you on the opposite? Yeah, the amount of base cards that are in it. It's like. Most of them are paper. The optics aren't that. The optic chrome is not doing it for me.
Inserts earlier, and you were saying, what's the point of inserts? And I have a similar kind of like foundational hobby problem with Donruss and Optic. There was a point when I first came into the hobby where if you asked me about Donruss and Optic, I would have explained to you. You see, they're totally different, man. You have to. But now, like, I cannot. If you go, that's an Optic, it's not a Donruss. I don't know. Like,
I don't care. For me, Donruss soccer needs to be retired, or at least not retired, but we need an optic soccer. You know what I mean? Like basketball has its own hobby box that looks like a Topps Chrome, and it's just optic basketball. Like we need optic soccer. That way, I don't have to look at a Donruss box again in my life, apart from just selling it or having it sold by the pack or whatever. I never have to deal with that again, because like I actually love. In fairness, as much as I say I'm over Donruss, I enjoy Donruss. I think the kabooms are great. I refuse to open a hobby box of Donruss because we opened the case 2 years ago. And
2 years ago,
literally, I haven't wanted to open. I open a few fat packs every now and then, but there's never anything in them, and it's just like I hate it. I honestly hate it, and I think that if you just like the hits are amazing. The Donruss, people have always said it's like the hits hit, but there's a lot of bullshit to filter through. They probably hit because you're filtering through a lot of bull. You've done a lot of labor to get there to get your hit. But I think soccer is ready for just optic. Imagine like FIFA optic soccer. Like, come on, give me that. Don't mess around. I don't need all the like. Donruss should be way cheaper than it is as well in terms of just a product. Like it became a premium product at a premium price, but like Donruss should be $200 or less for a hobby box, and then there should be an optic that you can charge me $350 for if you want. But like Donruss shouldn't be coming out at like $350, $400, for what it is. Yeah, and just too much base. I just hate it. So basically,
we would go if Tom Panini, you're going, does the player have a prism? No. Do they have a select? And I think that's actually pretty. If you look at like there are some basketball players and stuff who don't have prism rookies but do have select rookies or whatever. Like that is, I think, pretty established, and there's no reason we have to
change that.
Reinvent the wheel. Against it. Yeah. Okay, Becker continues. This is about the pre-modern era. So for anyone who doesn't know, pre-modern are cards that are before. Don't think like Prism Topps Chrome, but also don't think like cigarette cards. So think like your pro sets or your.
I would say like almost from 1994 up until 2014, if you're talking soccer, almost that window essentially.
Here are some speculative questions about the pre-modern era. One, in 10 to 15 years, we're not going to talk this specifically because we haven't done enough pre-production on it. Which 3 cards or stickers from the 1990s will be most iconic and why? And what do you think will be the most important sets from the 90s and why? A good analogy would be 80s basketball. 1986 Fleer is clearly the most iconic set of that era for basketball. I think 2004 Mega Cracks La Liga might be a similar set in soccer, but I wonder about the 1990s. Does any particular set stand out to you from that decade? I will say, people may remember I have some Ireland personal collecting projects. One of them is 1994 Upper Deck World Cup. Part of the problem is there are no parallels, obviously. And you kind of need, if there's no parallels, you need a rookie that everybody's chasing. And in terms of the greats of soccer, if you look at it, people talk about Pele, Maradona, Messi, Ronaldo. The 90s, which had loads of great players, Van Basten, R9, Baggio, etc. It's kind of like it's full of like tier 2 players, or who really are like some of the best players ever, but they're not one of the 4 guys. And also a lot of injuries, a lot of careers cut short from people who start in the 90s. Your Ronaldos, your Van Bastens, your Michael Owens. What's up with that? I don't know.
There's a project for you for the rest of the week.
I gotta say, I'm sorry, I have to go actually. I'm no longer interested. I'm starting a different podcast called 90s Injuries. I can't really pick out a set apart from Upper Deck, which I already collect from 1994 World Cup from the 90s.
I was going to say the kind of the Man United Upper Deck set comes to my mind because there is that big chase in it for but like, you can't find a box of that. So does that even count? Like, that
I think like if Upper Deck, part of the problem as well is that Upper Deck were dominant in the 90s, or were at least prolific in the 90s. I think what would have to happen is almost like Upper Deck would have to come back into soccer in a big way, re-establish themselves as a brand, and then people would be happy to, because top soccer in the 90s doesn't exist. And don't send me the couple of sets that do exist, by the way. I don't want to.
Yeah, please have respect. Yeah, I mean the 2006 World Cup set had a.
I was going to say to you
today, that's fun, but there's nothing in it. There's no rookie and there's no chase, so it's not exactly that fun.
It's tough. Yeah, those World Cup sets surely may at some point have a resurgence. But then on the other hand, why
did we not see? Is the 90 and 98 World Cup? Is there not ways to get autograph cards from that set as well? And that was a big. They're cool. Like there's definitely like they're vertical autos. The way they're kind of like they're vertical.
Yeah. And there's also I think the 2002 World Cup. There are.
No, I think that's what I'm talking about. 2002 has that.
Yeah, like the Maldini one I've seen.
Yeah. And there's I think there's an R9. So like that set. I don't know if they all. I think they might have been like Japanese exclusive. Had the autos
they
or
are
something like
exclusive.
That.
Yeah.
There was definitely the Calcio, Super Calcio. Maybe it was. There's those Calcio sets that actually have parallels in them. A few people try to collect them. That's super cool. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything touching Fleer apart from obviously where Messi and Ronaldo's rookies are. Those are obviously going to be iconic sets always, and probably as close as you're going to get. The Messi one's weird though because his was like third variation, and I don't think there's any way to know what you're opening. Like it's
kind
really
of an LY4 situation.
Yeah, no. It's like there's 3 different versions of the same box, but only one of them has Messi. So like you could buy a Mega Cracks and Messi's not even in it in terms of checklist,
and you wouldn't necessarily know that.
I don't think there's
the whole box.
Yeah, I don't think there's this distinctive way to know which variation is which, I believe. Although Golden seems to know what is what. There must be, if you're highly specialized, you might know the answer to that question. I have yet to do it. And I've definitely said it on the podcast before and no one's ever answered me. So I'd have more confidence in the Ronaldo one because, at least he's in there for sure, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem with the 90s is I feel like the 90s is getting a lot of legends now, like a lot of people that are popping up in legends checklists and are on like these kind of like club premium products and, you know, like your sedans, etc. Yeah. They're getting well covered now, and they're having cards now that they never had in the 90s. So
that's the main issue, isn't it?
Really see any reason why you would go back to that time.
I mean, we definitely have like obviously stickers, like Panini stickers in PSA 10s are performing really well,
this
right? Of legends, but like,
or it's like a Thierry Henry 19.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's definitely some cards for that as well from magazines or whatever different things.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it fully translates. I don't think there's like 86 Fleer, like those boxes do be around. Like they're not, you know, they were mass produced at the time and they're around still. Yeah. Kind of like base set Pokemon to a degree, where like, you know, it's not like impossible to find a box, you know, whereas like the upper deck stuff, I feel like I've only ever seen one or two of them, the Man United ones, ever kind of appear on the market.
Yeah, where are they? Yeah.
Where are they at? Like, where, like, you know, where's the ones with George Best autographs in them? Like, where are those boxes? Do you know what I mean? Like, why can't you find, like, could Futera have a sneaky set out there? Maybe. Kind of like the Formula 1 set that they had. I don't know. But in general, that's a bizarre kind of area of the hobby. Definitely some moves to be made in it, but it's very undiscovered. Like, there's definitely, there are a lot of people that cluster themselves into pre-modern, but wouldn't be for me, to be honest.
And pre-modern as well, like, vintage, we're kind of like we were, or we are, I don't know, we certainly were long time vintage skeptics on the podcast back in the day. And I think I've started to kind of, I understand now much more, which I guess just is from being in it long enough. When people tell me about the vintage market and I didn't believe them, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And now I have been around, like, I understand vintage kind of more or less always goes up if you're buying the right stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But pre-modern doesn't seem like that. Now maybe
you're a pre-modern
skeptic, years, you know.
Like, I thought about this stuff, and then you'd be like, "Oh, this is a good sale on that Henry."
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone knows about pre-modern or collects pre-modern. I would like to open up a discussion about pre-modern soccer cards. So write in and
you said that almost like you'd have a guest on this show, but I don't think that's the case.
There's no guest.
You've tricked them. I'd like to open up a discussion on that. And even if you're an expert, you're not coming on this podcast.
If you'd like to submit your answer in writing, that'd be fine. Okay, let's do any other business.
And now, gentlemen, is there any other business?
Enzo, you wanted to mention the WWE and their new patches.
Yeah, I think WrestleMania had just taken place a few days ago, and Topps and Fanatics had a huge presence at it, as they have, like, they've kind of come out the gates swinging with all things WWE except for Sapphire for some reason. And they added in some WrestleMania 41 patches. They had exclusive products. They had a Travis Scott, who is the biggest superstar ever, moves every needle that ever needs moved. Travis Scott Cactus Jack set that was super popular. Yeah, just I love it. You know, the WWE SmackDown and Raw debut patches, I think, moving forward outside of WrestleMania itself. So basically, just a huge collaboration, and Fanatics showing us once again how they're able to, I don't know, how well connected they are in the industry, that they're not just a licensor that the sports leagues collect a bit of money from and go, no, you can't get approval on that, fuck off. You know, you're not getting that. You're getting like, hey, we're having a discussion, this would be a great idea. You're explaining why it adds value to both brands.
Yes.
And they're getting stuff done. And that's why I'm very confident. Hard a nut as it might be to crack, I'm very confident we'll see this for the Premier League. I just don't see how we don't. So I think every time they successfully create a patch that they're able to get sports stars using, it makes their use case so much easier to negotiate that with every other license.
And I mean, if you could do it on wrestling, where, let's face it, most of the wrestlers are not wearing that much.
That's right.
So if you can fit it onto a wrestler's outfit, I think, like, you can fit it onto a Premier League kit. Come on.
Yeah, Premier League, I mean, I think that they're such a huge whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I think like Formula 1 is tough, because obviously the weight and everything is so important for Formula 1 and stuff like that. So even a patch, they'd be like, I'm not adding that on for aerodynamics, right? That would be,
if we could get that on the team radio, we get like Max Verstappen melting down because I wouldn't be going this slow except you put that patch on me. Michael Rubin, I'll never forgive you. Just
absolute murder. He'd be a lot less nice as well. But yeah, I love it. I honestly love it. I think it's unreal. I love it. Like, there's no negative.
Are you a WWE fan, by the way, just out of interest?
No, I was back in the era of, you know, The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H and DX and all that sort of stuff there. Shawn Michaels. the Undertaker. I love that.
Sweet Chin music.
Yeah, Sweet Chin. Come on, I had all that. When it came back on Netflix, I had a bit of nostalgia, and then I watched a few bits, and I kind of got involved. But I'm not a huge wrestling fan today at all. Like I'm not. I don't know.
You don't know who the guys are.
Rhea Ripley, Cody Rhodes. I literally only know them because of Topps Chrome. That's the truth. Like I wouldn't lie on that. I don't follow it. That's not my era. I didn't stick to soccer, Jason. What about you?
That's right. Yeah. No, again, I had a kind of a phase of it when I was younger, and then now I don't know. And it's so storyline based, and so like,
you're not in the loop.
If you're not in the loop, it's only actually now that occasionally I will see wrestling somewhere, or I'll turn it on or whatever, and I realize now how much of it was the drama element. Because at the time I don't remember really that being part of it. This is just cool. But now you watch it and you're like, well, I don't know what their relationship is, so that big kick didn't really mean that much to me. But why is he hitting him over the head with a chair?
Yeah, I'm out of the loop. I would say like even I would watch. Obviously, like I watch more UFC than I do WWE.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
There's not that much scripted drama. In that.
Not anymore. No, but like I'm definitely out of the loop on it. But it's not something alien to me. Like it's not the same as like baseball, which I had to learn. My beloved Guardians had to drag me into that sport. But so I know about it. So it's very obvious to see how like what they did with WrestleMania. Like it's very like what they did at Fanatics Fest. Like, I think they obviously seen what happened at Fanatics Fest and they capitalized on it in a huge way.
This is what we want. Yeah.
This is huge, and they've been killing it with that license. They've brought a lot of interest in it. The WWE license has been a bit weird because Topps had it, Panini got it. The first Prism came out, was a huge thing for a bit, and now it's back to Chrome and it's huge again. It's kind of a weird license that's kind of having moments and not having moments. But the execution of the partnership at the moment is going well. But Sapphire was a flop. Chrome was good. What's going to come next? I think there's a dynasty in the works, I believe, and obviously debut patches are only going to help it. WWE, like WrestleMania, like that's the thing. It's like they're not like. I feel like if it was soccer, here's one for you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I feel like if it's soccer, they would create a soccer debut patch, and it would be very confusing because maybe someone makes their debut 4 years ago, and this is their first Champions League game, and that's the license they have, so they're going to put in a debut patch, right? Because remember, we said it's competition debut. Because there you had a SmackDown debut and a Raw debut.
That was my main takeaway, was that it's SmackDown and Raw. So if that's setting the precedent.
No, but my takeaway is like, would they ever create a badge for the Champions League final? I don't know if they would. Do you know what I mean? Why is like they understand WrestleMania 41 is an important event? I'm sure they know the NBA finals are important and Super Bowl is important, but it's like, I just feel like when they do soccer, like, are they gonna? First of all, get the Champions League done. Second of all, because it's like we're waiting on. Like, they already have the soccer license. How have they not? Like, we're waiting on them to do it in the Premier League. Why have they not done it in the Bundesliga or in the Champions League? They've obviously done it for MLS, but Messi's there, so that doesn't particularly, that's kind of like, you don't and it's an American institute over there. It's actually based there. It's not as global as this. I'm sure the logistics are a lot harder pulling patches from Club Bruges when they're playing young boys in Switzerland. I don't think, is it Switzerland? The young boys in Switzerland? Yeah. I did well. I started thinking Basel for a second, but I'd like to hope a day comes where the Champions League final, like maybe imagine this Champions League final upcoming if suddenly there's patches on the players and it's like, holy fucking shit, here we go, like, because I want that, you know what I mean? So they're doing it. They understand it in WWE. I'm hoping that follows through in football, because it would be so cool to have like a game used patch from the final of the Champions League. Like, what are we talking about? That, like, do you know what I mean? That's connecting the cards to the event, and I'd be into it. Yeah,
that's turning Fanatics into collectors.
That's right.
Speaking of Fanatics, we should mention, just by the way, we will be appearing at a couple of industry-related events. On Thursday, we're going to some sort of a launch party, something's going on in London or something?
Yeah,
the Fanatics Collectibles Regent Street store are having a little evening.
Jason. Fanatics Collectibles store officially opens on the 25th of this month, 25th of April, but they're having a VIP only pre-opening. VIP only, Jason. Say it what it is. Don't be humble. A VIP, and you were invited, Jason.
I was invited, yeah, sure.
And so was
So we're going to this VIP evening at the Fanatics store on Thursday evening.
We will try to report back. We don't know what the vibe is going to be. Like, I don't know if I can, get Jason on camera doing content.
Well, because when you're VIP, there's an expectation that you're playing it cool.
You're playing it cool. You're not too hyped about what you're seeing and whatnot. But we're going to be in London for the Fanatics pre-launch of their flagship store on Regent Street, which is going to be talking about what's going on in the global hobby. This is going to be a huge domestic thing for the UK hobby and a bit of an anchor for European hobby as well. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to fly in or find any excuse they can to go to London to visit and see the shop. We're going to get a bit of a first look on it on Thursday, which is super exciting for us because we're not actually going to be available during the opening weekend because we're going to be flying to the United States of America, Jason. Mm-hmm. We're going into the belly of the beast. We're going straight in. No cards with us. I would love to bring my cards. We're risking it all. I would love to bring my cards with me in my personal collection, my things that I want to sell. But it's a little bit too hot at the moment to do such a thing.
A bit dicey.
I'm going to make sure I only bring one mobile phone with me, not two mobile phones. Jason, I'm not bringing liquids with me. We'll buy them when we get there. I want no reason to be stopped. I want no reason to be stopped. And worse again,
into the little room, please.
Worse again, we're flying home from London at 6 a.m. So think about this is already dodgy, Jason. We're going from London to Dublin 6 a.m. Land in Dublin, I think 8 a.m. roughly. Our flight is 11 a.m. So from our getting off a plane, landing in Dublin Airport, we are also, it's important to know for all of the viewers, all of the listeners, we're not flying Aer Lingus. Aer Lingus do not have a direct flight to where we're going.
Yeah.
And that's not Tariff related. That's just circumstantial. We could have, had we known we were going to London, because we didn't know, we could have got a British Airways, which operates the same loyalty program as Aer Lingus. We could have got that direct to where we're going. But unfortunately, that's not the case. We're going to be taking our good friends, our new good friends, hopefully our friends. I really hope they're friendly to us, Jason. Because at least I'd be at ease if I was on an Aer Lingus plane. But we're taking Delta. So we're going to land in Dublin 8 a.m. super tired from London, and then we're going to try go to US pre-clearance. So I want nothing on me because that's a dodgy trip.
But it's not even that. Sorry, we should say as well.
Sorry.
Aer Lingus also let us down because to get back to Dublin that morning.
Oh God, it's not Aer Lingus.
It's not Aer Lingus.
Yeah, because Aer Lingus wouldn't go so early. It would have been it would have been like landing at 9:30, having to get there at 11, and it didn't make sense. So we had to go. But Aer Lingus, we're going to see if this is a bad trip, we can strengthen our ties with Aer Lingus and say we'll never drift away again. But we're going to have 2 planes in one day. Neither of them are Aer Lingus.
That's asking for trouble, as far as I'm concerned.
If he has meet us in the United States, if he's meet us in London, no, London will be fine. If you meet us in the United States and we're a bit grumpy,
just now we've been on 2 non-Aer Lingus run planes and we're not in a good.
Yeah, and we had to run to find liquids as soon as we landed because we had no toothpaste because we were scared of getting sent to El Salvador.
Yeah, we're going to have to go to CVS and ask the person to unlock the toothpaste cabinet. Because what kind of a bloody country is this? Anyway, look, let's not get bugged out on that. Let's say goodbye to the people. Hopefully not for the last time.
Oh, jeez. The next one, you'll be podcasting from El Salvador next time you hear from us.
I am being treated very well here. Anyway, that is us. We're back for episode 277. In the second half of next week. We hope everybody's doing well. Do write into us if you're a pre-modern collector and let us know what it's all about. And other than that, Enzo, I'll see you later this week for a whole host of stuff.
Yeah, at least 4 flights.
At least 4 flights. Okay. See you later, everybody.